More than 2,000 years ago, China was not a single empire, but a fractured land consumed by endless war. 7 powerful states fought relentlessly for dominance, each one driven by ambition, fear, and the dream of absolute control. Cities burned, armies clashed, and millions lived under the constant shadow of conflict. This period, known as the Warring States era, was one of the most brutal and transformative times in Chinese history. But from this chaos, one state began to rise above the rest, stronger, more disciplined, and far more ruthless. That state was Qin, and within Qin, a young ruler was preparing to change the course of history forever. The young king of Qin was not like other rulers. From an early age, he was surrounded by danger, political intrigue, and betrayal. Yet these challenges forged in him a mind that was both strategic and unyielding. As he grew, so did his ambition. One by one, he sent his armies against rival states, crushing them with overwhelming force and calculated precision. His generals were relentless, his soldiers disciplined, and his vision unwavering. By 221 BCE, the impossible had been achieved. The 7 warring states were no more. For the first time in history, China was united under a single ruler. The king of Qin declared himself something greater than a king. He became Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor. With the birth of the empire came unprecedented power. Qin Shi Huang reshaped China in ways no ruler had done before. He standardized writing, unified currency, built vast networks of roads, and began the construction of massive defensive walls that would later become the Great Wall. To his people, he was more than a ruler. He was a figure of near divine authority. His word was law, his will absolute. But absolute power often comes with a hidden cost. Behind the grandeur of his empire and the strength of his rule, a quiet fear began to grow within him. A fear that no army could defeat, no law could control, and no empire could escape. Despite ruling over millions, Qin Shi Huang was haunted by a single, inescapable truth. He was mortal. Death, the great equalizer, loomed over him just as it did over the poorest peasant. This realization consumed him. He began to fear illness, aging, and the inevitable end that awaited every human being. The thought of losing his empire, his power, and his identity filled him with dread. And so, what began as fear slowly transformed into obsession. Qin Shi Huang did not simply wish to live longer, he wanted to live forever. Determined to defy death itself, the emperor issued a command that echoed across the empire. Scholars, alchemists, mystics, and healers were summoned to his court from every corner of the land. Their mission was simple yet impossible: discover the secret to eternal life. Ancient legends spoke of immortals who lived beyond the limits of time, hidden in sacred mountains or distant islands across the sea. Qin Shi Huang believed these stories were more than myths. To him, they were clues, fragments of a truth waiting to be uncovered. And he was willing to spend any amount of wealth, resources, or human effort to find it. The emperor's obsession extended far beyond his palace walls. Expeditions were launched into unknown territories, and ships were sent across dangerous seas in search of the legendary lands of immortals. One such expedition, led by Xu Fu, carried hundreds of men and women into the vast ocean, chasing stories of magical islands said to hold the secret of eternal life. But these journeys were filled with uncertainty and danger. Many never returned. Whether they were lost to storms, chose to abandon their mission, or discovered something beyond imagination remains a mystery. Yet, despite these failures, the emperor refused to abandon his quest. While explorers searched the seas, alchemists worked tirelessly within the empire, experimenting with substances they believed could unlock immortality. They mixed rare minerals, heated unknown compounds, and created potions that shimmered with unnatural beauty. Among these ingredients was mercury, a mysterious liquid metal that fascinated ancient thinkers. It was believed to possess powerful, almost magical properties capable of preserving life indefinitely. Trusting in their knowledge, Qin Shi Huang began consuming these elixirs regularly, convinced that each dose brought him closer to eternal life. But what he did not realize was that these very potions were slowly poisoning him from within. Over time, the effects of the toxic elixirs began to take hold. The emperor, who once radiated strength and authority, started to weaken. His body grew frail, his mind clouded, and his behavior increasingly unstable. Yet he remained in denial, continuing to consume the very substances that were destroying him. His fear of death had blinded him to the truth. In his desperate attempt to escape mortality, he had unknowingly accelerated it. The most powerful man in China, who conquered kingdoms and unified an empire, was now defeated by his own obsession. In 210 BCE, during a journey across his vast empire, Qin Shi Huang's condition worsened. Surrounded by loyal officials and guarded in secrecy, his death was kept hidden to avoid unrest. The emperor, who had sought to control everything, even life itself, could not control the one force he feared most. His life came to an end far from the immortality he had so desperately pursued. The man who tried to live forever had fallen, just like every ruler before him. And yet, in a way, Qin Shi Huang achieved a form of immortality he never expected. Beneath the earth, an army of thousands, the Terracotta army, stands silently, created to guard him in the afterlife. His name remains etched in history, his achievements still studied, and his story still told across generations. The emperor who feared death above all else became unforgettable, not because he escaped death, but because he left behind a legacy that time itself could not erase.